Welcome, my name is Kara-Leah and I'm with the Yoga Lunchbox. Today I'm here with Chakradyhan, who is a Kirtan artist and teacher from Melbourne. He is the founder of the Chant Cartel, Mantra Dance, Chant Yoga Kirtan School, and also a co-organiser of the Melbourne Chant Festival. Welcome, Chakradyhan.
Thank you.
First quick question, what does your name mean for those of us who are not familiar with Sanskrit?
Chakradhyan, chakra is obviously the energy centers, chakras, and dhyan is meditation. So I didn't give it to myself, so I don't know what it means on an etherical level, but that's the literal meaning of it.
Do you find it rolls off your tongue when you introduce yourself as Chakradyhan now?
Yes.
It's got a nice flow.
And we said Chakradhyan rather than Chakradhyan.
Oh.
Chakradhyan.
Okay, I'm not even going to attempt that. I'll let you handle it. Now, Kirtan, am I saying that right? I'm not so good on the Sanskrit, you see. Kirtan?
Kirtan, yeah.
Kirtan. For those who don't know, what is Kirtan?
Kirtan is essentially, it's the singing of Sanskrit mantras. So we're doing call and response. So the singer sings the mantra, and then the participants, they sing back. So it's like a yoga practice. The person up the front, the kirtanist, they're like the yoga teacher. They're singing in a specific way with a specific energy. And the participants, who are like the yoga students, they are singing back in a specific way. So they're almost mimicking the person up the front. And it goes back and forward, and eventually it builds this energy. And what happens is we go into a sort of a trance, which is what happens when we go into meditation. We go into a trance. So our conscious mind, it sort of leaves the building a little bit, and we're in more of our feeling body. And we begin to feel each other, the audience and the kirtanists. And we feel each other's energy, and we grow that energy. And it puts us into this state where we have a connection with something deeper than our conscious self. And eventually, there's a few theories about what happens. What some people say on the transpersonal level, that we come in contact with our unconscious, and the conflict of the unconscious is sung out, and it's expressed out through the heart. There's also the Bhakti school, where there's a deity or some form of divinity which is sung to, and by singing to the deity we express through the heart. And then there's also, so that was the Western, and then there's the Bhakti, which is the devotional yoga people, like the Hare Krishnas, for example. And then there's the Nada yogis, who are the yogis of sound. We follow sound to its cosmic source. So
it's not just singing, is it?
No, it's not. It's a very varied practice, and essentially there's two aspects to it. One is energy, the manipulation of energy, or I shouldn't say manipulation, it's not a very good word, but the contacting of energy and growing of energy and dancing with the energy. And then there's the opening of the emotional heart.
So how did you find your way to Kirtan and become a Kirtan artist and teacher?
Well, I was actually thinking about that today, because I knew you'd ask that question. And I realised that the first time I ran into Kirtan was when I was 13. I was in a surf town. I used to visit in my holidays, and there was the Hare Krishnas were there doing their feast and their Sunday feast and that. And I went along to that for the food, of course, as we always do. And I was chanting the Maha Mantra with the Hare Krishnas when I was 13. I forgot about that. But later on in life, I used to go to a lot of gatherings, and where they'd do bhajan, which is singing together of Sanskrit mantras, sometimes in English. And later on after that, I ended up in the Satyananda Yoga movement, and I spent 5 years in the ashram learning about Kirtan. It's very big in that movement, Kirtan. Yeah.
So why Kirtan rather than say asana or meditation or pranayama or?
Well, I'm also a yoga teacher, and I've done all those things. In the end, we're just trying to find ways to to leave this busy mind and contact something a bit more deeper in ourselves. And with postures, we do that through balancing energy. Hatha is the sun and the moon, the balancing of the energies, and the pranayama to balance the energies so that the mind stills and that we can go deeper. Well, Kirtan does the same thing. It just puts us into this deep state, and we experience our more truer selves. And they say that Sat Chit Anand. Sat means truth, Chit consciousness, and Anand bliss. So this is feeling of knowing a deeper self and being in a blissful state. And Kirtan does get us there.
So would you say then that Kirtan makes you high?
It does certainly make some people very high. I have some people that come to the Kirtans and they are literally addicted to Kirtan. When they go into these states, sometimes some of the people, we have to almost pour water on them because they go into this deep trance. And this is only a very small amount of people that are very sensitive to Kirtan.
Right.
Some people I've seen go into spontaneous kriyas, which are like movements of the body. This is like maybe 1% of the people, but there are some people that they hunt out Kirtan.
They hunt it out.
They have such a wonderful experience. Yeah.
So how does it affect you as a teacher then? Because I imagine when you are doing call and response Kirtan in a room and you might have 10, 20, 30 or 40 people who are, I don't want to use the word singing, who are chanting back to you, what is that experience like?
It varies, it's different. Sometimes it's their practice and it's about, they're the ones that create the energy. I just facilitate it. Just if I was a yoga teacher and I do a posture and I expect my students to do a posture and they just stand there, what am I to do? But if they participate fully, then they have that experience. And the difference between an asana class and a kirtan is that the kirtan is more a binding of the energy of the whole group. So if I get a group that responds to me, to my teaching or to my kirtan, then it's a wonderful experience for me. But then what happens is that I also helps me to deliver back. It's a back and forth thing. So if I'm receiving energy in the kirtan, then I just give that back, and it has that pendulum swinging thing where the momentum builds up and builds up. So it can be wonderful.
So when you're up the front then, do you need to be conscious of staying grounded and with the energy in the room rather than going into too much trance yourself?
Yes, and so how we do that is we listen to the drummers, we listen to the manjira players, which are the little cartels. I'm all the time feeling the audience or the participants, and so all those things keep me grounded in the room. And this is the same for the participants. It's not for them. Just as if we go into meditation, some people do meditation and they go into this beautiful state, but they're not present. And so this is not meditation. This is sort of like going into a dream. Meditation is about being aware and present. And so there's a part of you that needs to stay in the room and listening to the sounds, listening to the drum, listening to things and keeping present.
So when you first started teaching Kirtan, I mean, I guess you were living on an ashram at the time, so you were being well supported in a yoga community. But when you came back to your hometown, etc., and this is what you were doing, how did regular, everyday people respond?
By the way, my hometown is actually New Zealand. And,
is it?
Yes.
Beautiful.
And I grew up in Auckland and I've lived in the South Island, and my father's from Wellington.
Yeah.
But at the moment my hometown is Melbourne. And when I came here, the Kirtan scene was not that big. It was a very little groups doing it all over the place. So I got involved in one of those groups, and these people knew what Kirtan is, because there's a lot of people do Kirtan in different traditions. The main ones in Melbourne, you've got the sort of Siddha Yoga people, which are and the offshoots of Siddha Yoga, and the Hare Krishnas. Satyananda Yoga is very much into it. We have people here called the Shanti Mission. And there's different other groups around Melbourne, but they all do their thing. But now what's started to happen is these groups are coming together. We're having bigger nights. We're getting up to 80 to 100 people sometimes. In Sydney, they have even bigger groups, 150 people, which is big for Kirtan. And it creates more energy. And it's the movement's slowly getting more pronounced and more people involved.
So in that vein, you were one of the organisers for the Melbourne Chant Festival, which happened in March of this year?
Yeah.
So was that part of that bringing together of the community and creating a forum for more people to experience it?
So there's a Rama Media in Sydney. They host a lot of Kirtan events and bring international Kirtan artists, and they were bringing Dave Stringer down, and we decided that we wanted to also not just have an international artist, but support the local community and the Australian community. So we came up with the idea of Chant Fest, and so we had people come from all over Australia. Some of those people are Sri Pallad, who is from Sydney, and he's been doing a wonderful job getting around, around Australia promoting Kirtan. We had Camilla from Sydney, a lot of the musicians from Sydney. So there's a big scene in Sydney at the moment. And then we had our local people, which were some people like Bonnie Howarth, Nada Narayana.
Do you think Kirtan's on the rise then? Because I teach yoga, and even when we're just doing plain, simple oms, people have a real fear around this idea of making noise. Is it starting to change?
It is starting to change. People think of, that because we're chanting mantras, that it's a religious thing, which and in some ways it is. For a Hindu to chant Om Namah Shivaya, they're chanting to their deities. It means Om Namah means salutations to Shiva, but it's also from a yogic perspective, as Nada yogis or just yogis in any sense of the word, yogis can be quite atheistic. We don't have a sense of unless you're a Bhakti yogi, there's that of deities and gods and stuff like that. But we look at the energies as a way, the mantra is a way of changing the energies in the environment, and also mantra changes the energy within ourselves. Just as a shaman goes into a room and claps his hands and rattles drums and smudges a room and changes the energy in a room, so does mantra has the same effect. And even people that are not yogis, but just for example, I've met classical Indian musicians, they recognize that mantra is very good for clearing energy in a room before they play their music. So people are starting to recognize that sound meditation, sound yoga has been recognized as a potent form of healing and of connecting people. So it's getting more known.
So Satyananda himself, I've heard he often said that Kirtan was the practice for the 21st century.
Yes.
Did you ever learn directly from him, or did you ever hear him speak about Kirtan?
Yeah, I spent time in India when he was there, and because I was doing a sort of what they call sannyas training course, we spent a lot of time with him. He gave us a lot of time on that course, and for him, Kirtan was very powerful. He said once, music for him and Kirtan is a very high dose. So what he meant by that is if he was involved in, often he'd go into a trance state and lose consciousness. And I witnessed this one time where he went into this, what we call samadhi, or a very absorbed state. And so often he couldn't practice it. He had to practice other things because I think one time he said he fell off a truck when they were singing. but the thing about it is is this energy, the Anahat chakra. Anahat means unstruck. And they're talking about the Anahat nada, the sound of the Anahat. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. Did it go?
Oh, okay. You just went. You just stopped. So that when they mean this, the Anahat nada means the unstruck sound, the primal sound of the universe. And this can be expressed as sound, it can be expressed as light, and it can be expressed as energy. And sound, when we express sound energy, it has a very, very potent effect on the mind. And I think, in this age, often these very subtle practices where we're doing meditation, we're doing, all these more subtle yoga practices with the distractions of this age, of this, technological age, sound is something that really blasts through a lot of these, it's less subtle, but it's as subtle as well. It's very subtle within, and it's very physical as well. So I think it's a great practice.
So you are coming to New Zealand next week, in fact, and you're going to be down here in Wellington doing. Now it's not a performance, is it? It's billed as an ecstatic kirtan night with Melbourne chant bhava. What does bhava mean? What is a chant bhava?
Just like it's like an Indian term bhava. It's like walla bhava. But I'll be coming to Wellington, and I'll be doing a kirtan. We don't call it a performance or a concert because it's like a yoga class. It's an experience that we're all having as a group. So we don't call them songs, we call them kirtans. It's a specific practice. It's a yoga practice. And, So
if people come along, they can expect that you'll be chanting and they'll be asked to respond, and it will be an hour and a half or so of this back and forth of different chants.
Yeah, and it's not hard, and if they can't sing, they can hum. They can just sit there and experience the experience they're having. But we try and get them. It's not as important to know the pronunciation correctly, but it's more important that to feel into the experience.
And are you bringing musicians with you, or?
I do have a band here, the Chant Cartel, in Melbourne, but it's too much to bring it's such a small movement, the kirtan. So we have musicians from Wellington, local musicians.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Any last words that you want to share about Kirtan, or about coming home to New Zealand?
I'm looking forward to coming to Wellington. I love Wellington. As a kid, I spent a lot of time in Wellington because my father was from there, so I can't wait. I'm going to run up Cuba Mall. Is it still there, Cuba Mall?
Yes, Cuba Mall's still there.
I like the Cuba Mall. Okay.